Love. Jones getting near the goal line. Is he in? He is! Touchdown Green Bay on the opening drive. Only has one catch on 4 targets. 2nd and 2 here, though. Here's Prescott over the middle. It's going to be picked off, and no one in front of him. Darnell Savage. Touchdown. They come into Dallas. They had them their first loss here all year, and the number 7 seed. This young team surprising everyone.
This is Rafique Louison, and you are tuned in to Nothing But That Sports Talk. Another disappointing ending to a great season for the Dallas Cowboys. As I welcome to this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk, Rafique Louison alongside Ryan Walker. How you doing this weekend or this past week?
Good, a lot of good. Actually, a lot of good things brewing. Just went to announce this weekend with a good group called 5 a.m. Brotherhood. If you're not already following them, or if anybody in general, definitely you can go on Instagram. Their group is called 5 a.m. Brotherhood. Literally, the gentleman who started named John Peloso Jr. He started the group. I believe that's his brother that he's with. And they literally started like a rec group with a bunch of guys they know they used to hoop and stuff like that. And they literally played ball 5 a.m. in the morning. They have a league now that they do where they have games that start on that, of course, at 7. But then God, through the grace of God and doing what I've been doing the last few years, and getting to know the right people. One of the gentlemen that his brother is coach at the Knox School, excuse me, in Suffolk and Long Island, asked for me and wanted me to it's like, yo, if they have this, the guy asked. I was like, cool. And I'm so lucky. I just linked a nice deal with the guy. He's a good dude. So I'll be announcing for them for the season, and that's a big plus. And Sunday after that we were at our neighborhood in Hempstead, Kennedy Park. We had a memorial for Arthur Morrison, rest in peace. And so one of the guys that impacted our neighborhood. He taught. He was in the schools. He tutored. He ran a basketball league for 47 years. And helped in the community. So we did a thing for him last week with the Morrison Mentors. Also, please follow them if you can too. Morrison Mentors is a very good group. They do a lot of positive and uplifting things for the community. So it was a great event. The kids from Hempstead in the town and other people got to play. Older people came out. It was a good Sunday. So that's, of course, the biggest thing since, of course, we did the last show and been busy with the weekend and working the normal regular thing. So that's it. But just like you said, a lot has happened, and those good old Cowboys, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we'll we'll smoke the Cowboys in a minute, but getting back to your little moment of covering these type of events, I mean, it's always good to get back to the community, and the fact that you had like many different basketball figures giving back to their own communities and making sure that they elevates New York City hoops to the greatest as they can be. And I'm proud that you got to be involved with stuff like that.
No, yeah, 100%. That's why, I mean, one of the reasons why we do what we do, because we see the impact, that, it can have. And I appreciate that. I'm definitely the love. And, that's all we all try to do. You had a big year last year too. I had a big year too. And, the goal is to always continue to elevate. And, that good start. We also on top of that, God bless the Peace Tournament in Canada. Of course, we'll be back August 22nd to August 27th. And we're already working out the deal with them for the hotel, the Airbnb, and so on and so forth. And we'll be down there announcing for them for their league. And we're already in the process of taking care of all of that. And God bless them. Miranda and the whole staff out there in Halifax, Nova Scotia, for the work, and Lavelle as well too, Uncle Pooty, for putting us in position to do so. And we'll be having that coming up soon. And you'll be surprised how time flies in a year. They're already talking about summer ball and stuff already, and it's not even February. I see the post.
I'm like, hold on, take the summer basketball. Like we're in January. Like cool. Like pump the brakes. We just halfway through the NBA season. And we're in conference play for college basketball. And we got
exactly.
to talk about college basketball later on.
Guys don't waste time,
back to
man.
what you were saying, but yeah,
guys are not wasting time. Like I see it on Ross Slime's page. Ross Slime does great work in New Heights, and they were already had a post up for Zone 6. I mean, just starts June 1st, but hey, but still, like you said, we have so much other platforms to get through as well. But all this stuff is right around the corner on the low. But that was great that we finished out the paperwork with these guys. So God bless the Peace Tournament. God bless 5 a.m. Brotherhood for what we did. The Arthur Morrison Classic, rest in peace, is so great tournament. And Crunch Time Basketball officially next week, January 28th, is opening day. So we'll have the Winter Pro-Am going on. We had to have a little delay here and there, nothing crazy. Waiting for jerseys and other things we have to final out. So next week, Sunday, that should be back on and flying. And even February 24th, we're doing a middle school showcase there, which I'm also going to be a part of and doing stuff with that as well, too. So things are brewing up. It's going to get busy. You see why I had to take that time before? And we don't have games this Saturday with 5 a.m. Next week we will. And even so, he's going to be moving to a different gym, which is a different, nicer area on February 17th. And then the championship game is at Nassau Coliseum.
Nassau Coliseum?
So, yeah, that's what I was going to tell you too. We're going to speak more off the air.
Wow.
I would like for you to come down for that one. I think that would be very good because
it's Nassau Coliseum. We can talk more about that off the air.
Right.
That's. I mean, don't worry. I mean, I don't want to make no promises yet because after the big year I've had, I'm trying to get more college basketball and WNBA content for this show as well.
Correct.
After the year I've had,
yep.
But I'll definitely make sure. I don't want to make no promises yet because you don't know what the future holds. I mean, and I'm actually speaking from experience, Tom, because before, like not too long ago, I was talking to Bianca Pierre. You probably know her from when she was doing announcing at the Nike Sports Classic. She works at the Barclays Center. She did announcing from the Aces events, and she also works for MSG Networks. She'll be contributing to Nothing But That Sports Talk. We'll be collaborating to cover a future college basketball game. We won't say it yet, or at least that's still in the works. And then Shantae Harlett from Short Sweet Entertainment. I'm already working with her to try to get some content for it because going from the Brooklyn to the Bronx is not that easy anymore.
Yeah, even with a vehicle, you know what I'm saying. Even with the vehicle, especially, that's the other thing that people forget to take into consideration.
I went to that school. As much as I'm comfortable traveling the way I had to travel, I am starting to see why sometimes, I haven't seen what happens to other people that go to the Bronx. It could be a problem for many other individuals in the human population, especially Black people.
Well, listen, New York is New York. So from Brooklyn to the Bronx and Bronx to Brooklyn but New York is New York. So, things can happen anywhere because New York is New York. But at the same time, no, 100%. You always have to be cognizant and be savvy. And those are always things those are different parameters we talk to as well too. So some of the most elite outside street basketball tournaments are in the toughest neighborhoods. Gersh, one of the and you love to go to Gersh. I'll go to Gersh too as well too. Gersh is in a tough neighborhood.
But the only thing I don't like it's the high crime rates into the community in that neighborhood.
Well, yeah, those are things,
But then again, that's the same thing I think about Rucker Park and Dykeman. I like the basketball leagues. I'm not gonna let a high crime rates within the community.
They're in tough neighborhoods.
Take away. I'm not gonna let that the fact take away from my love for the basketball leagues and what they're trying to build. I'm not gonna let that take it away from that.
Yeah.
I mean, you got my guy H1 who's currently coaching Vincent Matos and Brian. They play ball at that park. I had play ball at that park. Lance Stevenson played those parks. So I got to give credit where credit is due to the basketball leagues that they built in this past quarter century, as long as we've been alive.
Yeah, so most definitely. So But yes, we'll speak more about that. So like I said, God bless them. Peace tournament. We got that worked out with them, and that's pretty much all for me. So in regards to individuality and being busy and that, but we'll speak once we get off the air about more with that one with per se. But those Dallas Cowboys, I tell you.
These Dallas Cowboys, man, I don't know what to tell you anymore. I mean, and you felt, and you know what? But anybody, the few people that did watch the show, you fell for it. I said they were going to make it to the NFC title game, and they got wrecked by the Green Bay Packers. They lost to Green Bay again, and they're not going to get any love. Or if they are getting love, they got Jordan loved, literally. Like, what was that? They were losing 27-7 at halftime. And then Jimmy Johnson gave a tough halftime speech at Fox. I don't know if you've seen it. He gave a tough speech at Fox, which I will show you later in the show. And then they come out, they get away, couldn't get any closer than 2 possessions. You had a chance to get within 2 touchdowns. 2-point conversion got overturned because of the offensive pass interference. And then you missed the extra points. What was that? What was that, Dallas Cowboys? Nobody plays the number 2 seed. I mean, to be fair, they weren't the 2 seed all season, but they only got that because the Eagles fell off the map. That's correct. We'll get to later in the show. But sticking with the Dallas Cowboys, where is this loss rank among all the other losses, which is literally the 13th? Ever since the Super Bowl 1996, the Cowboys are 5-13 in the playoffs. They have not gone any further in the division round since then. Where is this rank among one of the worst losses in Dallas Cowboys postseason history in the past quarter century or 28 years?
It was bad. And I got friends and people that I know. I got one particular Cowboy fan that will ridicule me so much for the Knicks and their futility for years. And the Knicks haven't won an NBA championship since 1973, so we know that it's been a long stagnated period. And we know the futility and the issues and the playoff stuff that the Knicks have endured over the years, but still the Knicks is their prestige franchise. It is the Knicks. We've had a lot of great players come through here. It's the Knicks. And, New Yorkers are New Yorkers. They're going to love their Knicks. Nevertheless, I have this Cowboy fan that will ridicule me so much for the futility of the Knicks not winning for so long, and look at him as a Cowboys fan. It's just absolutely comical. I've been saying this to my guy for years. I don't care what they do in September. I don't care what they do in October. I don't care what they do in November or December. January and then getting to February is a whole different thing. And until they finally this is the reality of it, even with all the smartest people on TV, I'm going to tell you one guaranteed true fact I know about the Cowboys. We can't ever think the Cowboys are a real contender until they actually get to the NFC Championship game. If the Cowboys start off the season next year and start off 11-0, 19-0.
Talk to me when postseason time comes around.
Correct. And
we definitely learned our lesson the hard way. They just lost to a 7-seed Green Bay Packers.
You just told me when you said it last week and you said NFC Championship game, you didn't see how I kind of looked and I humped and I said, I don't know. I picked them to lose against the Lions. Remember I said, okay, the Lions are going to be the ones to get them the second time around, especially really in the first game where they probably really should have won the first game. It was 2019 in a close home victory for the Cowboys against the Lions. And even with that, I said, it could be interesting for them with Green Bay. I'm on record of them saying that I told people that Jordan Love is going to be a good quarterback and he's going to be good earlier than later. He'll have his ups and downs, which he did this year because he's still a first-year quarterback playing. He's been there before in the years behind Rodgers, but first year starting but due to growing pains, he'll still offensively be graded all right. Their luck might run out this week because the San Francisco 49ers are a whole different type of beast. even though San Francisco still should be careful because Jordan Love can throw the football. The Packers' defense is the issue, but that's neither here nor there. So, but I told people that the Lions would win the division and make a run, and I said the Green Bay Packers with Jordan Love are going to be good, and it's crazy. It's not his fault because the
Jordan
O-line
Love exceeded expectations this year.
Yes.
You got to give credit where credit's due. Even though half of the points were scored by the defense, especially that pick six in the first quarter.
Right. But it does take a lot as a young quarterback to win a playoff game, especially since, you're right. The defense did a lot of good things. He made plays too in the running. They played a really good offensive game last week. They were really good, and the defense made plays when they definitely needed to. They made enough stops early in the first half and built such a lead that all they had to do was just bend, not break in the second half. You know what I'm saying? And they continue to put points on the board. So and as a young quarterback to also go into a place where the Cowboys have won their last 16 home games, that's a lot of pressure to win in Dallas. A lot of people wouldn't be able to do that. He did something really phenomenal last week. But that's the Cowboys. They have kept Mike McCarthy. They will keep Mike McCarthy. He's not going nowhere. I told people that when I seen all that stuff, I said Bill Belichick is not going to Dallas. Trust me, that's not going to work out. And other things, Jerry Jones wants to be the one to be the head hole, and he wants to, if anything fails, to blame on somebody else besides himself. So with that being said, they'll be the billion-dollar playhouse. But this is the same thing we've seen from the Cowboys over the last few years. They've always been able to win 12 games. The question is, can you finally make it to the NFC Championship game? It's like with Knicks Nation. We should never, when people talk to me about the Knicks and everybody just say, can the Knicks be, and that's another different topic, so we're still talking football after this, can be a contender to get here to the Eastern Conference? I said, listen, it's like a girl who's really, really cute and always gets guys, and then after like 2 weeks, she always gets dumped. It's like, yo, bro, I don't want to do that anymore. Like we're not doing that. like, talk to me when we get married, because you can't, until the Cowboys can finally get back to the NFC Championship game. That's the only time us in the world, in the stratosphere, can take them serious. But no, that's not going to happen. Watch the Cowboys go 5-1 in the first couple of games next year, and everybody's going to say they're going to go to the Super Bowl. This is the typical stuff they do. Nothing impresses me. This is America's team.
It all depends on the seed. I was watching this girl. I was watching this lady named Ashley Baker. You've seen her on the show a couple times. She was going on a vent about how the Dallas Cowboys not good. This team is not built for come from behind victories. So
she was very astute. Wow.
Yeah, and I know you said next, but I'm going to show you this anyway.
Their AI.
Dallas Cowboys. Gotta love it.
Well, first of all, I can't say what I would say now on television, but I'll just say this. Every single one of you, you know how hard we've worked. I don't need to have people pointing the fingers one thing or another. You get your rear end in there and you play the way you know how to play. We can win the game. We're going to open it up. We're going to go fast tempo. Defense, get after Jordan Love. You can't give him that much time. You do what you're supposed to do, we'll win this game.
All right. That's Michael.
Yeah, when you hear that comment from Jim Johnson, what goes through your mind?
Well, that was more of a pep speech. That sounds like more of the things. I thought it was something like he was ranting off crazy. I mean, he was ranting per se, but that seemed to be the approach and the Gipper speech that he would say in the locker room, which they would need, which he was correct on those things, where it's like, yeah, they went into the half 27-7. Yeah, the score is a lot, but and you see that the final score is 48-30, right? Something like that.
32.
32. So the Cowboys had 7 points by the end of the half and finished out with 32. So they found a way to score. What was that? 32 minus 7. What is it? 25 points in the second half, right?
Yeah, 25 points. But it was a little too late.
So that means the opportunities were there. Their defense was absolutely horrendous, and it was too little, too late. Dak had they had turnovers. So, but that's what he would say as a speech. He's totally correct on that and right. And this is also a 2-time Super Bowl winner. But see, that's why I knew the Bill Belichick thing would never happen, because here goes the thing: unless Jerry Jones is going to be comfortable with giving Bill Belichick a lot of control of what's going on with the team in regards to picking players and coaching and development and staying out here. And he definitely can't go in there and ridicule Bill Belichick. That kind of relationship and marriage won't work. You know what I'm saying? Even if Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft had issues during certain times on the Patriots, they were, even if we knew that things weren't the best, they didn't publicize it. They're not going to tell you the details of what it was. It was just, you would go from there, and Bill Belichick anyway, you're not going to get much from him anyway. So I knew that wasn't going to work, because Jerry Jones is not going to give him that onus, and then Jerry Jones is not going to know how to stay out of it, because he can't. It's his baby. So he can't stay out of it, even though he should stay out of it more. But nevertheless, that's why Jimmy Johnson left.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Johnson won it was 2 Super Bowls, right? He won. Did Jimmy Johnson win 2 or he won 2?
Yeah, he won 2 Super Bowls.
So did the Cowboys win 3 straight, or they won 3 out of 4 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, because yes, he won 2, and then he left, and then Barry Switzer took over. I'm not sure if Barry Switzer won the next year, but I believe Barry Switzer won the year after with the same core guy. But so Barry, they would always say, "Oh, Barry Switzer won with the Jimmy Johnson team," and so on and so forth. But he still had to do different things, and they had to navigate. But Jimmy Johnson was saying, "Hey, the Pat Riley thing. Like, listen, give me a little bit more control of the players. Let me, so we can build something here. Let me get it a." Jerry wouldn't do that. Jerry's always involved. There's other things. And Jimmy was like, "Nope. If you're gonna make me coach the team and do this, if you're gonna be involved, then you do it." And this Jimmy's been on TV and been doing it ever since. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's the Dallas Cowboys. That's America's great old team.
Yeah. People want, and Stephen A. Smith go say that the Knicks are worse than the Dallas Cowboys. So you ask me, it's the other way around. Like, seriously, I don't know what. Oh man, I don't know. When next season comes, just watch the regular season. I'm not going to make any predictions saying the Cowboys are going to go to the NFC Championship or go to Super Bowl. I'm just going to play it round by round, depending on who they match up against.
Right. Well, our drought is longer than the Cowboys, and the Cowboys have more titles in their professional sport. So I guess he's sort of correct.
But the Knicks made it to the conference finals in 2000. The year before that, they were in the finals in 1989. The Cowboys have made it to the conference finals a lot less times than the Knicks ever since 1989.
That's true. That's true.
So,
that is very true.
About that, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We can talk about the New York Knicks a little bit later. I mean, especially since they did manage to get some wins against the Houston Rockets and the Washington Wizards after losing to the Orlando Magic on Martin Luther King's Day. But we'll get to that later in the show. Right now, we want to get to the Philadelphia Eagles talk. Yeah, it's cry Eagles cry in Tampa Bay as they got smoked 25-9 by Baker Mayfield. Talk about an offensive explosion. What are your overall thoughts of the way the Eagles played?
Fly, Eagles, fly.
It's cry, Eagles, cry. It's cry, Eagles, cry. Not fly, Eagles, fly when they lose.
Fight, Eagles, fight. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3.
They only scored 9 points. They only scored 9 points.
Hit them low, hit them high, pause. And watch them Eagles fly. Die, Eagles, die on the road to victory. Say it with me. Eagles. Eagles. Oh Lord. They went 1-7 in their last 8 games, right? Rick, are we getting that correct? 1-6 or one?
They were 1-6 in the last 3 games going into the playoffs, and they lost to Tampa Bay.
And like I keep saying to my guy, look how scary it is. Their one victory was against the New York Giants because we happened to play them 2 times in a 3-week span, and we lost that game by a touchdown. And we were driving. We were actually on like the 12 or 15-yard line before we threw the pick, and the game finally ended at the end. Which I don't know how we really threw a pick because the Eagles secondary is absolutely non-existent. But
actually, Jalen Hurts did get a touchdown, but he missed the extra points.
Right.
Missed the extra points, so we forgot. I mean, we can't diminish that. I'm actually correction. Actually, they did score a touchdown in the second quarter, but they failed at a 2-point conversion that time, and that cut it to a 7-point game. But then obviously, Baker Mayfield touchdown pass to Trey Palmer put them away for good, and there's also the touchdown pass from Baker Mayfield to Chris Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
The Eagles, man, they really and just and this is not like I'm an advocate for Philly. I'll be totally this is the other dynamic, and I'm glad we have the sports show because the way you orchestrate a team in basketball, in hockey, in tennis. Well, tennis is individual, whatever team that helps you, whatever per se. But you know what I mean. Baseball, football is different. There are many different coaches and elements that go in toward the winning of a football team. And like people don't understand, there's a linebacker coach, there's an offensive lineman coach, there's a tight end coach, there's a receiver coach, there's a defensive coordinator, there's the offensive coordinator, there's the head coach, there's a special teams coach. There's many different guys that do, and those little things that you see on the bottom of ESPN, oh, this assistant leads, oh, that's not a big deal. Yes, it is a big deal. I'm saying that, oh, this special team coach went there. Oh, this assistant now has head coaching position jobs. This defensive coordinator, that stuff is key. You know what I'm saying? And the reality of it is that the Eagles have a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and they had about 19 guys, I believe, last offseason that were up for freer contracts. Some guys they let go. A few guys did get paid. And then some other guys, they fill their position with guys that they thought would be able to do and go from there. And it didn't work out. It happens like that sometimes in sports. And the coaching staff let them down. You know, I like Nick Sirianni, their head coach, but he's very fiery, arrogant, pompous, and mouthy when they're winning. And he's very none of that when it's the other way. And it's sad that he's on the hot seat, but that's Philadelphia. Philadelphia, listen, you could be good today and bad tomorrow. He still probably should come back and get the job, but I'm glad that he has some adversity because I think they were really good last year, but I think they thought it was easy. And they thought they were supposed to win that Super Bowl too, and they didn't. And they really thought they were going to come back and do it like that. And like I keep telling people, listen to this stat here. I believe excluding the last 2 years, previously before that, like the last
NFC division champion.
But no, not even that number and statistic. The team that goes to the Super Bowl and loses, the secondary team, usually does not qualify even for playoffs the next year. That was a statistic that was running forever. The Kansas City Chiefs broke that 2 years ago when they went to the Super Bowl and lost. Remember, they lost to Tampa Bay.
The Buccaneers.
And they came back the next year, and not only did they qualify for the playoffs, they won the Super Bowl. They were the first team.
Actually, they won a Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers. Look, they made the Super Bowl during the COVID pandemic year. They lost to the Tampa Bay Bucks. They lost to the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Title game after a crazy victory over the Buffalo Bills. And they have that rematch down at Western New York, which we'll get to that later in the conversation. And this year, well, matter of fact, last year they made the Super Bowl and won it all against the Eagles.
Correct. Who won before the Chiefs last year?
The Los Angeles Rams.
And then who won before that?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And then who won before that?
The Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
I said it already.
So, And who won the year before? Kansas City. What was that? New England? I don't know, something like
I believe
that.
it was New
But
England Patriots. That was that
but
egregious Super Bowl against the Los Angeles Rams.
right. So Kansas City is the first team to actually qualify for the postseason after doing that, and then the Eagles this year, with going to the Super Bowl last year and losing, didn't qualify for postseason, but didn't do well at the end of the year. It's just so hard. It really is. I don't know what it is, the psychological thing, and those are numbers thrown at. So that means that it equates to everybody, but those are things that always levy and weigh. And the Eagles just changed a lot of things, and they played terrible football at the end of the year, and they got a lot of questions and to answer in the offseason and how they're going to go forward with their football team.
And I hate to say this right now, but they should have at least won both games against the New York Giants. And I know I'm saying this, and I hate
Correct. They should have swept us.
They should have swept the New York Giants, and they should have won against the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals they should have won at least those games.
You know what the worst thing was?
And hardcore, and I know I'm saying this, and I know I'm a hardcore Giants fan saying that, but it's reality. The Giants weren't supposed to win that last week of the season. They weren't even supposed to rack up wins. They're supposed to be taking from Khalid Williams of USC. But obviously they're going to stick with Dale Jones for another year because they know very well that Dale Jones is not going to have a midseason injury again. And you can expect him to step up after the hangover that they've had this past season, a year after winning the first round, or in this case, the NFC wildcard game against the Minnesota Vikings, just to get railroaded by the Philadelphia Eagles. This is not to say Philadelphia Eagles have railroaded the New York Giants and the 49ers on the way towards the Super Bowl where they got taken out by the Kansas City Chiefs. This is really not.
Well, they're going to bring the Giants. They're going to bring Daniel Jones back because they got to pay him $42 million regardless this year. So, but they still should draft a quarterback and put the pressure on them in camp to say that nobody has the starting job outright completely won, and put the pressure on them that if he doesn't perform well, you have a Tyrod Taylor and you have a young quarterback that will be there to take the position. But that's neither here nor there about the Giants or the Big Blue. The fact of the matter is that with the Eagles to just fall off like that at the end says so much, but it's hard. And then when you look at the stuff with the Giants in their season and certain things, and you're like, man, if they could have just did this here and did that here. So we definitely should have never beat the Eagles, but that tells you how bad they fell off. And that tells you, this is why I always, when we started going more in depth, we talking football the last few years, us together, right? And then sometimes you used to be like, Ryan, this team is going to win. I was like, Rafique, it's not about the name of the first team you play.
I say that with my New York Giants because, I show a lot of faith and compassion. And it's
100%.
And it's not like as if they never won the Super Bowl as a lower seed before. We can't get past those wins in 07 2011.
History counts, but history doesn't always necessarily equate for now, even though history counts, because there's organizations that have certain mantras and things get. So you're right, I get that. But it also has to be a certain quality of the team. And the fact of the matter is that it's not about the team you play, it's about how they're playing when you play them. You understand? And in the NFL, that's why I always go game by game with it. Are you saying this? You're true to the Giants should have definitely lost to the Eagles twice because they've owned us over the last few years, and we're not a good football team. We had a bad year. We're trying to improve it again next year.
At the very least, they ended the losing streak.
Now here goes the real reality of this, right? The Giants played the Cardinals. The Cardinals were killing us 28-0.
And
the Giants had to
score.
They had to score 31 points and go flawless in the second half just to win against a team that's pretty much egregious and looking for their future with a quarterback as well, too. And here goes the reality of the things. The Arizona Cardinals played a lot of teams this year close. They just lost good games because they don't have enough talent to win a 60-minute football game, and they're young and rebuilding. So now the Eagles also played the Cardinals at the end of the year when the Cardinals started playing better football. If you really look into it, look at the end. The Cardinals just didn't beat the Eagles at the end of the year. They beat a couple other teams. when they were supposed to be bad and stinking and terrible. So it's not about who you play, it's about how they're playing when you play them. You understand that? If you play the Giants in September, you can get a win. When the Giants got the backup quarterbacks and the kid
Tommy
what's the kid's
DeVito.
name? DeVito had a little stretch. The Giants won a few games, just a few. But see, so you could have caught a Giants team at that time, and probably that team gets a win. But if you played them in October, you won. You kicked their butt. You know what I'm saying? So it's about how you play the team when they're playing. Let me ask you something. How were the Eagles in September and October?
They were 10-1 with the only loss coming against the New York Jets. All it took was that one big mistake to lose to the New York Jets. And the Jets have never beaten the Eagles was prior to that in franchise history.
Right.
But there was a stretch up until November where they given up a lot of points. They let Buffalo hold their own. They let Miami hold their own. They let and of course we know what happened with the Kansas City Chiefs. They had to come back and beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football, which is no surprise because the Chiefs beat them in the Super Bowl last year. Now and then they get wrecked by the 49ers, and that's when everything went downhill.
100%. So, but both teams had I know you asked one of those questions who had the bigger fall off. It's clearly the Eagles on this one to start off 10-1 and to finish 1-7 at the end of your stretch and to come off a Super Bowl appearance last year with aspirations to try to get back and for that to happen the way it did at the end of the year. They fell off so bad that eye test wise they didn't look good. They look like pushovers, and I can't tell you the last time I've said that a Philadelphia football team, the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love, a tough-nosed, blue-collar football team look like pushovers. That wasn't the Eagles team that I know. The Cowboys, we expect that. So that's not nothing. The Cowboys losing last week in the playoffs is like me and you getting up every day to brush your teeth. I expect to do that every day.
But I didn't expect it to get wrecked by the Green Bay Packers, though. I did not expect that.
Yes, that we didn't expect. But then you know why we should expect that? Because this is the football organization that does the unexpected. The Cowboys lose when you don't think they should lose. And you know another thing we should have taken into consideration? For some reason, why is it that the Cowboys cannot beat the Niners or the Packers in the playoffs? We should have known that you talked about history a little while ago. We should have reminded ourselves
that the 49ers and Packers historically own the Dallas Cowboys.
Green Bay used to beat them when Favre was there. They beat them when they cheated Des Bryant with the catch, the NFL, the referees. They beat them when Aaron Rodgers threw a ball like 40 yards on the sidelines one time.
That led to a goal
to beat them in the playoff game. Right. And this ain't no love in the heart of the city.
They're not getting any love. You got Jordan Love. All right, back to the next. All right, on to the next topic. I mean, we already mentioned the Detroit Lions. Yeah, finally. Not only did they finally won a playoff game. Detroit, there's something good going on in Detroit right now, and it's because of the Lions. But although it was a narrow victory against Los Angeles Rams, the team that won the Super Bowl literally 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, and it's a battle between two quarterbacks that traded between each other, between these two teams. Detroit Lions pull off all the stops. Welcome to Detroit City.
You know, Detroit Motor City, man. I'm happy for them as an organization, and they went through so much.
31 years. You're talking about 31 years. They'll have a playoff appearance here and there. Historically, they've had a lot of bad moments, from Dan Orlovsky running out of bounds to all the Thanksgiving Day losses. They even lost on Thanksgiving Day this year. And it's the same franchise to play on Thanksgiving Day because they stink. But look at the Detroit Lions now. This win will elevate their future of the franchise. And next week, they got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers led by Baker Mayfield. They should win that game.
I think they have a very good chance of making sure they win this game. It'll be their home game. And
And unlike the Dallas Cowboys, they got all the offense they need to go to Santa Clara and take down the 49ers if they run into them.
Well, let's crawl before we walk now. But
to be led by Jared Goff, the guy has Super Bowl experience too.
100%. Didn't I tell? Do you remember what I said to you earlier? I said Jordan Love is gonna be good. I was almost gonna be bold to say that the Packers would make the playoffs and Jordan Love will make it and the Jets won't, but I didn't want to be that bold. I said Jordan Love is gonna be good. And I said the Lions are going to win the NFC. You know, if I told my guy at the job, he's a big Eagles fan. I told him, he said, no, the Vikings. You see how much talent? I said, the Vikings not doing nothing. The Vikings going to do the same thing they do every other year. They're going to win 10, 11 games or 9 games. They're going to look so good. Kirk Cousins going to throw for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. This and that. And he's going to lose every Monday Night Football game, and they will lose in the playoffs or they will not go to the playoffs. I said, the Lions are young and upcoming. I said, brother, the Lions started off 1-6 last year. They won every game after they went 1-6. They won every game consecutive. They sent the Packers home when the Lions were mathematically eliminated and sent the Packers home the last game of the season last year.
Mm-hmm.
Sent Rodgers home, forced them to New York. They beat I went in the win. They kicked the Giants behind.
You should have saved your money. You should have saved your money. I mean, I know you want to go to the Giants game, but you should have saved your money. I mean,
I didn't pay for my ticket. I didn't pay for my ticket.
Well, okay, you didn't pay, but somebody played it. You should have stayed away from that. I mean, seriously.
Free tickets.
I know you want to go to the Giants game. I get that. You get the free ticket, but people have to, but somebody had to spend their money. I mean, you're not getting many passes to the Giants game like I did with the New York Liberty, but we talked about this so many times, but staying on topic. I'm sorry, I'm going off topic too much, but staying on topic.
Had a great time in the cold. God bless. Even with the loss.
I know. Because I get the idea. I know it's fun going to a Giants game, but there's a reason why we hold on to our money. But there's a reason why we hold on to our money.
No, you see you try to convince me with the WNBA finals, and I was like, oh, that night. I said, I'm gonna take my free preseason Knicks tickets because I don't feel good about this one. But I was nervous that day. I was nervous. I was like, nah. They're gonna kill us.
But getting back to the Detroit Lions, yeah, the Lions have definitely improved a lot in a short period of time.
Yeah, they deserve it.
They really deserve it. We got to give them credit where credit is due. And this is the same line I said 2 years ago when they barely lost to Las Vegas. No, it wasn't the Vegas Raiders. I'm lying. It was they barely lost to Chicago Bears a few years ago when they were bad. That you said, Roger Goodell, can we please take them off Thanksgiving, please? Don't think I forgot about that.
Well, they're egregious. Well, listen, if they take them off for Thanksgiving next year, then maybe they'll win the game that day. They didn't even win Thanksgiving this year. We're talking about how great they are because they're a really good football team. But there's something that's been cursing them they were really good. They had no business losing. I don't even know how they lost Thanksgiving Day this year. Who did they play?
Jordan Love. The same quarterback.
Come on.
He's elevated his game to max. I mean, you told me on the phone that Jordan Love has learned from Aaron Rodgers the same way Aaron Rodgers learned from Brett Favre to be the franchise quarterback going forward. When
they get a pass. They both get a pass.
Seriously.
They get a pass.
And the Detroit Lions made all the way to the divisional round. If they beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they beat whoever comes out between the 49ers and the Packers. They win the Super Bowl against whoever comes out of the AFC between either Houston, not Houston. Between Houston, Baltimore, Buffalo, and Kansas City, then you can't take the Lions off Thanksgiving. They're probably going to move it to the nighttime. You never know.
They'll be back on Thanksgiving next year
they'll be on Thanksgiving, but it'll be prime time, not 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because a Super Bowl contending Detroit Lions is good for TV on Thanksgiving.
Let me tell you something. The only way
Lions team that's capable of defeating a Super Bowl champion from 2 years ago is worth watching on Thanksgiving on prime time.
Even if the Lions win the Super Bowl, the only game the Cowboys have to play at 4:30. Trust me, they will cry. If you want to hear a Cowboy fan cry, they're already crying now. If you don't put the Cowboys to play 4:30 on Thanksgiving Day, we will never hear the end of it. It'd be national news. They will cry.
Why
They
would
expect to
cry
play
about something like that? I mean,
because
seriously.
they are
Detroit
spoiled,
Lions had,
selfish.
I mean, the Detroit Lions had more success than the Dallas Cowboys. Never thought I'd be saying that.
Look,
In
100%.
the quarter century.
They'll put the Lions on a primetime game, like you said, maybe the 8 o'clock against a big time team. But normally, traditionally wise, that's why the Lions always go at 12 because it's supposed to be set up that way. But you're right; they probably could. If that's a whole lot of ifs. But if the Lions won the Super Bowl, they probably would have a primetime game. If not, even if they don't win, they're going to put the Lions back on TV next year at 12 o'clock. No matter how much I tell them, no matter how I said it 2 years ago. Did they take them off? No, they put them right back on at 12 o'clock.
But that's after that they started playing. But after that they started racking up wins even after the 1-6 start, and now they're one victory away from the NFC title game.
What am I, their motivational speaker?
Honestly, yes, you are. Yes, you are. I mean, come on now. You talking about first playoff win in 32 years. Let's look at Matthew Stafford's stats. 367 yards with 2 touchdowns. You got a receiving touchdown from Nakuna.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's for Los Angeles Rams. Now we get to the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff had 277 yards for a touchdown. McCautry had 1 touchdown and 57 yards. And then, of course, Brown had about 110 yards. Sorry, I mixed things up. So, yeah, you got to give credit to the Detroit Lions. They deserve that playoff win.
Big time for the organization. And I think they have a great chance to win this week and get to the NFC Championship game.
Because they're the only thing good about Detroit sports right now because, the Detroit Pistons suck. They're like 4-35.
No, the Pistons are 35-4.
No, stop it.
I know. I tried.
They're 4-30. They're like 4-35. They stink. Detroit Tigers, they're average.
No, they stink. No, the Tigers stink too. They stink. They got a new coach. Miguel Cabrera just retired. They rebuilt. They stink. They're bad. So you're right.
Detroit has a chance to win to bring a major professional championship home for the first time since the Detroit Shock did it in 2008 against San Antonio Superstars. Yeah, don't think we forgot about that.
Facts.
All right, now Browns losing to Texans. Are we surprised? CJ Stroud coming up.
You picked them. I picked the Browns. I think you picked them, but CJ Stroud. I mean, that kid just showing how incredible he is. The Texans are good for a long time with that kid, and that was a huge win for their organization. Lord knows they making it farther than the Cowboys. So there's a huge win, big time flowers for them, and they got a tough uphill battle coming up this week. But I wish them luck. CJ Stroud he's that dude.
Even though Lamar Jackson's only 1-3 in the playoffs, they're not losing to the Houston Texans. Historically, Baltimore's owned the Texans.
I think Baltimore should be fine as long as they don't come out rusty from that extra time off. But but CJ Stroud definitely deserves his flowers for that big time win.
Yep, big time win. Now, on to the Kansas City Chiefs. They defeated the Dolphins. That's no surprise. Really too surprised about that one. We don't really need to get into it much. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is carrying the load. But let's see how good of a player he's going to be when you're going to Western New York to play the Buffalo Bills, who are coming off a victory over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, we evaluate the Bills versus Chiefs so many times. The Chiefs have had the Bills number. But let's see if they can pick that momentum up when they're going all the way to Western New York.
It's so crazy. I'm going to tell you how I feel about this. I want the Bills to win so bad. But listen, Giants, Jets out. I am not a hater. I support the Buffalo Bills. They upstate New York. They Buffalo. I got no problems with that. It'd be nice if they can make a run. So I want them to win really bad. But this might sound crazy or scary. I'm still picking Kansas City. But I want the Bills to win real bad. I want to stay on record for that. But I just, I think Mahomes got one more run or push to try to see if he can get back to it, especially since they've had a season where they've played good, but not to their standards. And their winning standards, they had their ups and downs this year. And I think the biggest thing that's really developed them, because the defense can play, and the quarterback is one of the best, if not the best, in the league. The problem is the receivers cannot catch the football. See, last week they did so well offensively because the receivers were catching the football. So if the Kansas City Chiefs receivers just catch the football, then we know what this team is capable of. And I don't care what anybody wants to say in the postseason. The champs, till you knock them out, but everybody knows that. The one team in this postseason that you don't want to play if they're clicking well is the Kansas City Chiefs. Because they have the best quarterback and best player in the game, debatably, right?
But keep in mind, Patrick Mahomes has never played a road playoff game in his career. Nobody paid attention. Did you pay attention?
Is that true?
I mean,
is that true?
Yes, with the exception of last year's Super Bowl, he's never played a true playoff game on the road.
This is huge. This is big time. This is big.
This is
going to be a big game.
His NFL career. Everything, all the dominance that he's had, with the exception of the loss to the Cincinnati Bengals, have been at home at Arrowhead Stadium. You're not playing at Arrowhead. You're playing in Western New York. It is snowy up in Western New York.
It's snowy in Kansas City too.
There's snowy over there. But do you know how much snow was in Buffalo? You don't have to postpone the game all the way till Monday.
Yeah. You know what?
How cold is the apparatus? I mean, if you thought that MetLife Stadium was cold, wait till you get to Western New York. I'm not talking about now, but in the future.
100%. I am not picking Buffalo over against them. I want New York to win. So let's hope the Bills can
I know you don't want to take a chance at Kansas City, make it against Kansas City because Patrick Mahomes is a tough quarterback to deal with. I get it. I understand it.
Yeah.
But I'm taking the gamble picking Buffalo. The home field advantage will work in their favor this time.
I can.
Okay. Your picks for Detroit Lions versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's obvious.
Oh yeah, I'm picking Detroit, even though Tampa Bay's are making everybody a believer, but I'm definitely the Lions.
49ers versus Packers. You know what?
49ers in a good game.
I'm gonna play it safe and pick the 49ers.
Yeah.
I want to pick Green Bay, but
me too.
It's
their defense. Well, I got to see how they're gonna work against that. And it's not like the Niners are a high-powered offense, but they're systematic and they can run and pound and they can move the chains. They better hope the Niners are rusty. If they hope that the Packers can catch them.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. But they just beat a 2-seed Dallas Cowboys team, so I've seen them at least hold their own. But the 49ers will come out on top, so I'm going to share a brain with you on this one. Baltimore Ravens at home against Houston Texans. Lamar Jackson's going to get that playoff victory in his career. Lamar Jackson's going to get the playoff game this time, and then obviously this could be the year we see Baltimore in the Super Bowl. I don't want to get my hopes up with Baltimore, but you know what? I'm going to take a gamble on this one. I'm really going to take a gamble.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Now we transition to this week in college basketball. Yeah, Juju Watkins went off against UCLA, and she had about she scored the 20s as usual, and they managed to get an upset victory over UCLA. Oh yeah, and we can't forget about LSU, who even though they did smoke the Alabama Crimson Tide on the road, a couple days before that, they suffered an upset loss to Auburn. Yeah, typical March Madness vibes. Oh, yeah. And then the fact that St. John's been struggling. They barely lost against Creighton on the road. And on a game where Rick Pitino had to sit out due to COVID, they got rail run by Seton Hall.
Yeah, but
And one last topic to talk about, the Florida Rams, after getting a victory on the road against St. Bonaventure, they struggled and lost against Davidson at home. So with all the storylines I just mentioned, what college basketball storyline outstanded you the most? Stood out the most for you?
Well, the one that is the most impressive is Juju's for the totality, but the one that individually hits home more, of course, is St. John's and struggling in the last 2 games. Coach is out because he's out sick, of course. And but St. John's, I knew was going to have their ups and downs. That their in-conference play is the biggest thing for them. They have to do well there to have a chance. And I know there's a lot of people that are just going to try to push for St. John's to get to the tournament because they want to see him in their Evertino and stuff. But they got to do well in conference. Tino is a good team though too. You got the New York kid Jaquan Sanders. You got Kadari Richmond, South Shore High School, Brewster. You got Dylan Russo, who was at St. John's, transferred to Seton Hall, Bronx kid, OSL. So Seton Hall has some good players. They're ready. What they did to St. John's is not an aberration. They've been killing the whole year. They're definitely ready. And St. John's struggling individually right now in the last 2 games. They got to see how they can hold it together once coach gets back.
Yeah, Seton Hall. Seton Hall. They balling out big time. And that kid Kadari Richmond. Yeah, if you're not familiar with them, go check out last conversation about this kid, which Jay came on the show like years ago when we talked about the buzzer beater he had at Gersh. That should tell you something about how good the guy is. Or I could talk to Coach Blue, the guy that you said that coaches South Shore. He'll like I remember. I'll never forget when he told me that he took the kid to Gersh Park. How about that?
Yeah, Kadari turned up, man. Kadari finesse cooks. Kadari Richmond, tough offensive player, very skilled, loves the game, student of the game.
And you know what? Seton Hall, they're tied with UConn for 6-1 with the top record in the Big East Conference.
In the Big East.
And St. John's is 4-3, which is tied with Creighton.
Yep. They went from 4-1 to 4-3 that quick. So that's conference play.
That just goes to show how physical the Big East plays. So this is going to be very interesting. I mean, if St. John's can stay in the top 2 or top 4, they'll probably have a decent run in the Big East Conference. But if you run into Seton Hall or UConn, they play UConn tough. But once you run into Seton Hall, that's it.
God bless.
As Ching always say, God bless, good night. While next up for St. John's, they got an afternoon game against number 17 ranked Marquette, the defending champions for the Big East last year.
Lord. Lord.
At the Garden.
Lord.
They have a home game against Villanova.
Yeah, they can get the most. We'll see.
Yeah, this is going to be very interesting. So see what happens. But what are your overall thoughts on Angel Reese taking an L against Auburn before redeeming himself against Alabama on the road?
We keep talking about the women's game, man, and the parity, even in the men's game too. But in the women's game, there's so much parity where even these dogs with these top girls can lose depending on the conference. They'll be all right though. They'll be tournament ready when it's that time and to try to defend their crown. But in conference it can happen, and upset, but not an upset. Especially how the shape of recruiting in college basketball is going in the women's game, and the parity, but everything is fair.
Mm-hmm. And one other example is that we got to see my girl Christina Dowsey put up 7 blocks to come with 10 points and about 17 and about 15, 17 rebounds in Villanova's victory over a ranked Marquette team. I believe they were ranked 21 at the time. That's a big win for Villanova, and they're literally breathing down UConn's neck, who are 9-0 in conference play, smoking Seton Hall, and then they smoked, and I believe they smoked St. John's at UBS Arena last Saturday. So yeah, it's funny how UConn struggled against teams out of conference, but in Big East play, they breeze through everybody. Yeah, you probably the biggest be a day while I was talking to people about why we shouldn't sleep on teams. Why we should pay attention to teams other than just UConn for the women's side in Big East play.
Hey, to cover it all.
Yeah. And and if you want that, just watch my older interviews on YouTube, please.
100%. Nothing but that sports talk.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, yeah, and we can't forget about the New York Rangers. And the Rangers did lose in Vegas nights. But you know what? they still within reach of getting the #1 spot in the Eastern Conference. Let me ask this one question: can the New York Rangers surpass the Boston Bruins for the top spot in the Eastern Conference?
Oh, absolutely. They definitely still can. You know what? I like their team. I love them. I didn't think I was gonna miss them as much, but you know what? I wish we could have still stuck around and got. I wish we could have had Patrick Kane still on the team.
Oh,
But
actually, no correction. Their time was second with the Florida Panthers, which is 5 points
right,
behind the Boston Bruins.
right, and they definitely can do it. Winning the President's Trophy is still not going to make me happy because they won the President's Trophy 2 years ago or a few years ago, and they didn't win or do anything with it
Yeah,
per
they won the
se.
President's Trophy. Yeah, they won the President's Trophy. Like, I mean, they weren't really the top seed if you really think about it 2 years ago. But we talk about over a decade ago, they won the President's Trophy, but they still couldn't put the nail in the coffin when they ran to the
Right,
Lightning.
right. So when you got, you still gotta. Yep, I remember that year.
Oh
You
no,
gotta
actually, I'm lying.
figure
2014, they made it to the Stanley Cup and lost to the Los Angeles Kings.
Kings, right? And
And all three losses
the
came on, and 3 of the 4 losses came on overtime field goals, which is expected because Los Angeles Kings are more experienced than the Rangers. What can we do?
Right. I think they definitely can do so, but I think we're going to evaluate them how they do in the postseason. But they have a good team. They have a great core. Javanajad, of course, Kreider, the goaltending by Igor Shesterkin. He's playing solid. He's going to the All-Star game. He's going for a reason. Their draft pick Alex Lafrante is finally coming into his own. They have a lot. Keandre Miller. They have a lot of good players on the team that can make plays. And they have great goaltending. So, it's up to them. They can definitely make a run. But like we said, we're going to evaluate them with postseason. They definitely can win everything if they put they nose to it and get right. So I think they got a big game coming up this weekend against the Islanders, the outside environment game. I don't know. I think it's in Yankee Stadium. So that's huge, and we just got to just stay grounded. We kind of fell into a tough stretch. I think it's
Oh,
sports.
actually, they have a road. Actually, the Rangers they continue their road trip, which starts off with a loss against Vegas. And I mentioned Los Angeles Kings. They on the road against. They literally faced them this Saturday at 10:30. After that, they had the Anaheim Ducks and the San Jose Sharks before they come home to play the Las Vegas Golden Knights.
See, they got a stretch that they gotta.
Then the game you're talking about against the New York Islanders, that's on February 18th at 3.
Right. So they got to get in gear and get right, and we'll see how this lovely Rangers team and the Blue Shirts give us a run. It's always exciting when it's playoff postseason hockey. So the Garden will be good this year.
Yes, they will be good. And yeah, now we talked about the New York Knicks. I mean, Kendrick Perkins was saying like off the top of his head that the Knicks are the second best team in the Eastern Conference, not by standing wise, but by overall talent, and saying that they could beat the Milwaukee Bucks and the Philadelphia 76ers. And which is not impossible because the Knicks won a game against both those teams. And then, well, obviously, currently they're number 5th in the Eastern Conference. But let me ask you a question. Do you think the Knicks are second best in the Eastern Conference in your mind behind the Boston Celtics? Especially with the Pascal Siakam trade that happened to the Indiana Pacers?
No. I think the Celtics are better. I think even though the Bucks struggle defensively at times, I still think the Bucks are better. Even though we match up well against them and play well against them, when Embiid and Maxey are playing together and healthy, that's a pretty tough thing. And just like you said, now with the acquisition of Siakam going to the Indiana Pacers to add with a Halliburton and a Mathurin and a Miles Turner, and they got a lot of Obi Toppin, but he barely play. You know what I'm saying? But the other core guys they have, they got a nice with Rick Carlisle as the coach. They have a nice thing brewing down there. So the East just got a little bit more tough. And but they got to go one game at a time. But they still got to see the East is tough, man.
Yeah, it's so tough indeed. I mean, the New York Knicks, I mean, there are times during Thanksgiving against the Washington Wizards where I kind of noticed that they were playing a little bit shaky, but they've gotten their group together. Jalen Brunson put up 41 points against them. But then again, the Wizards, they're going to fight. They're going to try to get some wins. They only won 7 games all season, so the Knicks had to get this one.
Yeah, they stink.
Now that we're in the second half of the season, with the Knicks have about like 24 games and 24 home games and 17 road games to play before postseason time. That could change the way the Knicks play going forward.
Yeah, they have a lot. Thibodeau's got to find a way to balance it. That's why I think they need to make one other deal to get another guard or wing. But we'll see. So he doesn't give everybody so much tough minutes. But I think they're playing well with the OG trade. RJ and Quickly is playing very well in Toronto. I'm so happy for those guys, and it's working out both ways. And
Toronto,
I think that
Chicago, but they smoked Miami the day before.
Right. I think the Knicks are a second round team, even with everything. For them to be to the conference finals, I think certain breaks have to work their way. Like maybe a Celtics or a Bucks would have to get upset early, a key injury or something, and certain things just fall your way with seeding and standings. And
we had that golden opportunity when the Milwaukee Bucks lost in the first round to Miami, and then they defeated the New York Knicks last year. So even if that happens, we can't. Well, we don't want to get our hopes up with the New York Knicks. We really don't want to get our hopes up.
It's the Knicks we're talking about. My Knicks.
Yeah.
I know how they are.
Now, still to come, you probably see me and Bianca working together, and she'll be coming on the show somehow in the future. We see, and whenever happens with Shantae, and if she does it well, we'll let you know an update on that. And of course, WBA free agency on this way. We can't wait.
Nice.
Players negotiate, see what's going to happen. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in WNBA free agency as we start to get ready for the upcoming WNBA season. And then, college basketball, as I mentioned, St. John's, they got home games against Marquette and Villanova coming up, and obviously they're gonna have something on your side coming up as well. I mean, sports. This was nothing but the sports talk, breaking down some of the best news, stats, and everything from college to the pros. Or high school to the pros, when you count the high school coverage I've got at the Aces Overtime Elite event at Blue College. But that's besides the point. All sports talk, so welcome. That wrap it up. Thank you for stopping by once again, Ryan Walker.
Absolutely, man. You know it. We're here.
And in the next episode, we're gonna have Deb Webcast come on the show to get her thoughts on her Eagles losing again, failing to win a championship, and the rest of the playoff games as well, and which team she thinks will make it all the way to the Super Bowl, and what matchup she thinks is going to happen. And we're going to talk about how she's watching. And we're going to talk about how she's watching the Eagles while being at the Emmy Awards. Yeah, not a good mistake. Not a good idea.
Cry, Eagles, cry. On the road to victory, say it with me.
Ryan Wavy Walker, Rafique Louison. This is nothing but that sports talk coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York, and coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York, and Long Island. We'll see you next time.
Chat in the game.